Mr. Zephyrin, good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
All right. Give us a sense of where you all have. My sense is that you all have a sort of feeling of upliftment by the fact that this firm, Claude H. Denbo and Company, has taken it up, because you all have been having an issue with getting the matter to get what they call locus standi in the courts in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's talk a little bit about that. Why, in your estimation and in your colleagues' estimation, the matter was seen to be of such continued import that a firm such as Denbo and Company has taken it up in your interest?
Well, again, let me again thank you for having us on here again today. It has to be of interest, and I'll tell you why. We are talking about over $3 billion in surpluses. We are also talking about a company who seems not to have any care about pensioners within the telecommunications industry. And therefore, we have to be uplifted that after a matter of since 2012, the last time that we got any increases, was 2009, that we have now found ourselves in a situation where the matter is going to be dealt with legally. Whilst we are uplifted, the concern that we continue to have is the length of time issues like this one takes to get resolved at the court level. We remember what took place with Digicel. It took 10 years. And we are, I continue to say that we are dying over the last 3 years. Over 120 of our pensioners have died. So that we are uplifted, but we probably have to pray a little bit more that somebody at the level of the court, or even at the political level, will understand the extremities that we are going through in respecting to what we truly deserve at this point in time.
Yeah, and reading through some of the clauses in the matter filed by Denbo, there's one that says that there was a valuation that was done sometime in 2009, and that TSTT used the disposable surplus to reduce its contributions to 5% of the contributing members' pension earnings for each triennium, you say here, or they say here, since the 31st of March 2009. TSTT had made contributions as a percentage of contributing members' pension. That is one of the many clauses with which you all have interest and which you all take issue with how the company has been operating, correct?
Correct, very, very correct. Let me just say, and they have continued their reduction from 2012 straight up to 2021. Let me just indicate what was supposed to be their contributions towards the plan. In 2012, it was supposed to be 17.9%, to the member 5%. In 2015, it was 13.8%. 2018, it was 10.3%. In 2021, it was 17.7%. They have reduced throughout those years their contribution to 5%. So they have gotten their worth in terms of their reduction. But we are still waiting. We are still waiting. One also has to consider that between 2012 and 2021, the cumulative pensions in terms of its surplus was over $3 billion. What we have asked the court to do, we have made a comparison in terms of what we are asking for as against our $3 billion. And what we are asking for in terms of the repayment, the 3% per year return for members, the cost is less than $300 million. So it seems to go beyond ridiculous that a company continues to hold on to that level of funds, watching a dying breed, and is saying nothing at all in respect to wanting to satisfy us. Let us look in terms of what
Right,
the cost. The last time we got an increase
okay, let me
was in
ask you.
2009.
I just want to ask you to hold the point there, because I think we're going to get Mr. Clark coming in, because there's also another point I want to go to: surplus arising from the winding up of telco and TSTT, my question is, the company has no interest in those TSTC's use of the telco plan surplus. We'll get to that and other things on the other side. We'll just take a break to bring in Mr. Ian J. Clark into this. Stay with us. This is 10 Questions on this day.
Sure.
Folks, we're back and better than ever.
Your show have always appeared to be a show that is focused on going to the cause or looking to the cause.
We hardly ever talk about the white-collar crime, though. We always talk about the ones that involve more as physical violence against individuals.
The citizens will only measure transmission when water starts to flow through their taps.
Because the vision doesn't talk about local election.
Contract mafia that's responsible for looting the country, and they own and operate these politicians.
So if you are running a country and you can't say nothing as a prime minister, please take up your bag and go.
It is not comparative to the murder figures, but it is in fact very high.
I believe he's protecting certain individuals.
The newest book is here, Closer to the Church, the debut novel by author and former Mayor Louis Lee Singh. Available at all the Home Store branches, Barataria, West Mall, Shogunas and C3 San Fernando. Paper-based bookshop 10 Nook Avenue St. Anne's, WESN 30A Gattaca Street Woodbrook, Metropolitan Bookshop Ariapita Avenue Woodbrook, and all RIK bookstores nationwide. Available online as paperback on Amazon.com and Kindle for e-readers. For more info, call 628-5835 or 389-6504. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh, I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, and Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People.
Welcome back to the program. This is 10 Questions on this day. Our guest, Mr. Anthony Zephyrin, is a pensioner from what was telco and then moved into TSTT, and Mr. Ian J. Clark, who was a leading figure in the union representing workers, particularly at telco. They are now calling themselves the Committee of Concerned Pensioners of Telco TSTT. They've been trying to prosecute an issue about the company's continued use of the pension fund to what they allege to the disadvantage of the pensioners. We just heard from Mr. Zephyrin on some of the critical points in this matter. So we're joined now by Mr. Clark. Can you come in on it? I asked Mr. Zephyrin earlier the significance of the matter being taken up by this law firm, Claude H. Denbo, a significant law firm in Port of Spain in Trinidad and Tobago. He was making the point about, when I looked through the statement of case, a lot is being made of how the company has, it appears, has sought to reduce its contribution to the pension fund for one reason or the other.
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Mr.
Yeah.
Johnson, thank you. Are you hearing me, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, very well.
Are you hearing me?
Very well.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for hosting us again, Mr. Johnson. We appreciate it. And what I wish to say almost immediately is that TSTT is not a law unto themselves with respect to pension administration in Trinidad and Tobago. There are laws and regulations in place to guide the process of pension administration, and these laws and regulations include the central bank regulations, the guidelines set out by the supervisor of insurance in Trinidad and Tobago, the guidelines set out by the Board of Inland Revenue in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the trust deed and rules of the pension plan in itself. And of course, there is the Insurance Act of Trinidad and Tobago, which is the governing legislation with respect to the administration of pension plans in Trinidad and Tobago. So TSTT is not a law unto themselves. They cannot take the law into their hands and do what they feel. And this is why we approach our attorneys, Dr. Denbo, and Dr. Denbo is quite efficient. He has a lot of experience. His associates have been involved in pension administration for many years, and we are quite confident that with the assistance of Dr. Denbo, this matter will be, the pensioners will have their day in court, and TSTT will have to answer for all the transgressions that they have committed over the past 10 to 15 years.
All right, so let me get Mr. Zephyrin back in it here. And we were quoting from some of the clauses in the statements of case made here. There's this clause 23, for instance, prior augmentation of pensions. It says here, prior to 2010, TSTT exercised its discretion to give regular increases to pensions in payment. Those increases were pre-funded by TSTT through enhanced contributions. However, in or around 2009, TSTT adopted a policy that it would no longer pre-fund any future pension increases and that its contributions would be limited to funding only contractual benefits. They talk about the foregoing change of policy is recorded in what you call BWD valuation report of the TSTT plan as at March 31st, 2012. It goes on to give some fine printing on that. That seems to be a critical factor in the case that you all are prosecuting, Mrs. Zephyrin.
Well, you have to also go down to clause 18 of the trust deed and rules, and let me just say what it says in part.
Yes.
The trustees, from time to time, acting on the advice of the company, signed by a director, increase the amount payable under the rules to any member, former member, or to any widower, child, or dependent, in order to compensate for the reduction in the purchasing power of monies after the member's date of leaving the service of the company. So is there a contradiction? The thing is that a pound of flour in 2012 can be compared to a pound of flour in 2024. And therefore, the purchasing power in terms of the value of the pension certainly is down by a large percentage. And one cannot ignore. And as my comrade had said, is the company a law unto itself to determine whether they should pay or not pay? We have been making contributions to the plan. And therefore, we deserve whatever surplus is that is there in the plan to compensate for our purchasing power.
Yeah. All right.
One cannot
go ahead.
Contradict the other, and of course, the company cannot continue to be a law unto itself to determine what they can do and what they can't do.
Yeah, and Mr. Clark, some allegations, accusations as well have been made against the bank in this matter, which is the RBC. This is clause 24 in this statement of case here, for instance, saying despite the existence of an actual surplus since 2009, as set out in paragraph 13 and 14, TSTT and or RBC trusts have not granted any discretionary increases to pensions and payments since 2009. The beneficiaries of the telco plan have received no increases in their pensions since 2009, despite steep losses in the purchasing power of money over the past 15 years, and so on and so on. And that is a part of the case that you all are making.
Yes, Mr. Johnson, that is a very critical aspect of what we are going to be what our attorneys are going to be taking to the court. Now, RBC Trust is not an innocent bystander in all of this that is happening now at TSTT and Telco. As a matter of fact, RBC has been the trustees of the Telco plan for the past 37 years. And they have been trustees of the Telco plan, they have been trustees of the Telco plan for the past 37 years. And they have been the trustee for the TSTT plan for the past 30 years. So they are no innocent bystanders. As a matter of fact, we are of the strong opinion that the trustees have failed in their duties as trustees to safeguard the interests of pensioners, as indicated in the central bank regulations with respect to the governance of pension plans in Trinidad and Tobago. As a matter of fact, Mr. Johnson, let me just quote from the central bank governance documentation.
Go ahead.
Trustees must know their duty as a fiduciary to pension plan members and their beneficiaries. They are required to use proper care and skill and act ethically and impartially at all times in the fulfillment of these duties. They are ultimately responsible for ensuring adherence to the terms and conditions of the trust deed and rules. And we are saying, Mr. Johnson, that for the past 37 years, almost 40 years, the trustees have been sitting on a pension plan that has a surplus of close to $1 billion and have actually failed the pensioners by not insisting or not representing their interests to TSTT for an increase or an augmentation of our pensions. We have been receiving these pensions for the past 14 years. The last time we got an increase in pension is 2009. We are now in 2024. And notwithstanding the fact that the pension plan has a healthy surplus of close to $1 billion, in one case, the Telco plan has a surplus of close to $1 billion, and the TSTT pension plan has a surplus of over 300 million TT dollars. So therefore, we have a strong issue with Royal Bank Trust Company, and we feel that that they have refused to provide information to our attorneys, and we are going to be dealing with those issues, and we are going to scrutinize the actions very carefully in the court.
All right, and let me just go back to Mr. Zephyr a bit. Let me ask this question then. So this is a matter that is I would say the prerogative of people who worked for Telco when it was Telco. So Telco, and then it became TSTT. But it centers on people who were working for this organization when it was the Telephone Company of Trinidad and Tobago, right, Mr. Zephyr?
Well, no, it centers on both the two plans itself.
Yeah.
But of course, the major focus has to be in respect to the Telco pension plan, based on when the TSTT plan came into existence.
Yeah.
It came into existence in 1993.
Yeah.
One of the things that is happening at this point in time is when the pension plan is now leading to be what we term to be a dead plan in respect to its membership. The company did in fact transfer some 400 people sometime in 2010-11 from the TSTT plan into the Telco pension plan, and has failed to live up to the consent order to have them removed back to the TSTT plan. Once they are moved, then by the year 2025, the plan would be a dead plan. And we are saying that they have to move back those people into the TSTT plan. So the focus has to be at this point in time is what has been the valuations over the years from 2012, and what is the company's position in respect to where they are going as far as that plan is concerned.
So that particular clause, that is a significant one in the matter as now being pursued on your behalf by Denbo and Company.
Of course, of course. And we will not give up. We will not give up at all. like I said, and without being repetitious, the question, whilst we are on top of the game in terms of saying, yes, we have reached to a certain level, we certainly would want to see. In fact, I cannot speak to with Mr. Ian Clark, but I certainly would want to see whether a resolve in respect to the pension plan itself can take place outside of the courts. And I'm not saying that it will happen, but certainly my aim is to ensure that those of us who are here at this point in time would be able to live to see the benefits being paid out to them, to which they truly and at this point in time deserve.
And how do you think that might be possible for a solution to happen outside of the court?
Politically, I make no bones about it. Politically, we need to have some level of political intervention to a people who have served this government well over the years.
And so that is in a sense is you're advocating a government intervention in the matter.
Of course. Of course. We feel that the government should intervene, and it's a state-owned company.
Yeah.
And we see the government intervening to the benefit of those people who have served them well, and I'm talking in terms of the government, and by extension, who have built a company from nothing, from zero to where it is at this point in time. And it should not be that a very few people at the top of the executive of TSTT can take decisions to the detriment of those people who have served this company. We deserve this money. We deserve it, and we deserve it early. Like I said, my concern is we are a dying breed. We have about 20 people dying per year in the plan.
You mean retirees of the company and retirees and members of the plan? Let me just come back to Mr. Clark a bit. You called a figure earlier on. Well, it states here in clause 23 in the statement of case by Denbo and co. The actuarial valuation of the TSTT plan as at March 31st, 2021 states that there is a disposable actuarial surplus of 356 million. A true copy of that is annexed in one of in part of the whole document here. So it's $356 million. That is there somewhere.
Yes, that has to do with the surplus pertaining to the TSTT pension plan as of March 2021. The TSTT pension plan. Now, it's instructive. I mean, we have already articulated the question of the telco plan, where the surplus is close to 1 billion TT dollars. But coming back to the TSTT plan, it is instructive to note, Mr. Johnson, that with respect to that particular surplus, the headcount in TSTT at this point in time, on the basis of the retrenchment of hundreds of TSTT employees, the headcount in TSTT at this point in time could be less than 500 persons. So you have a pension plan with a surplus of in excess of $300 million. You have an active employee headcount of less than 400 persons. So therefore, we are saying that there is sufficient funding within the TSTT plan to take the fund into the future comfortably. So we have no problem with that. The question is the surplus with respect to the telco plan. And that surplus has been consistent for the past 10 years. As a matter of fact, in 2009, the 31st of March 2009, the surplus was 584 million TT dollars. The surplus in March 2012 was 650 million TT dollars. The surplus in March 2015 was $833,400,000. And the surplus at the end of 2021 was almost $1 billion. So there is no question over the ability of the plan in itself to service the improvements of pension benefits to the pensioners of Telco and TSTT. No question whatsoever.
Yeah, Mr. Zephyrin.
The funding is there.
Yes. Totally agree with Mr. Clark. None at all.
All right,
None at all.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about how this may have re-energized interest and activity among your members, people who, some of them who may have given up hope of benefiting from what they thought they should be benefiting from. Is this a sort of a point of, I would say, enthusiasm, increased enthusiasm in the organization of the concerned pensioners? And to what extent your colleagues are coalescing around it? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Like I said, we started in 2014, and all our attempts to engage the company in terms of making the payments failed. We are now seeing where they have no other choice but to respond to a matter that is at the High Court level. So it has created a sense of enthusiasm amongst the pensioners, some who are still getting pensions as low as $1,000 a month. So you can imagine how they are feeling. These people are between the ages of 60 to about 90 years old. And like I said, they have to live on a pension that cannot, at this point in time, sustain themselves. And therefore, the enthusiasm is there. But I cannot ignore what takes place at the court level in respect to matters at the court. And whilst we are enthused, we would want to see that enthusiasm go to a reality where people can jump for joy and say, yes, we give me money.
Yeah, I'm reading from the document that I've gotten on it, the statement of case. This is clause 31. The claimant says that the foregoing provision required the TSTT to consider how it should exercise its discretion to dispose of any disposable surplus certified by the BWD following each triennial actuarial valuation. In considering the exercise of its discretion, TSTT was required to consider reductions in the purchasing power of money and whether pensions ought to have been increased. That's clause 31. So right there, right. Yeah.
And that is the real concern. Based on the recommendations, when do we see that actually taking place? And like I said, whilst we are enthused because we have climbed another step in the ladder of resolve, but we don't know how much more steps that we have to take.
Ian Clark?
What is our time frame? And that for me is the major concern. They call me every day. They tell me their problems. They have to face a doctor who's charging them one set of money in terms of their survivability, or face a hospital where the treatment is also, my term, elongated.
Yeah, Ian Clark, I mean...
Mr. Johnson, yeah, I just wish to add to what my colleague has said.
Yeah.
The question is very critical that the actuaries have indicated that the surplus is disposable, right? Meaning that the surplus could be used to enhance the benefit of pensioners. The actuaries are not saying that we should retain the surplus for whatever reason. They are saying to us that the surplus is a disposable surplus. So therefore, there is nothing to debar or prevent
You're breaking up a little bit there, but
yeah. With respect to TST's financial management, but we are not here to talk about that this morning, right? But the question of the implementation of those benefits, the funding is there, and there's absolutely nothing to prevent the company from implementing those benefits immediately. Now, I just want to add very briefly what my colleague referred to earlier, and it is that the government in itself it cannot divorce itself from what is taking place in TSTT. The government appoints a minister responsible for TSTT affairs. The government appoints a board of directors who reports directly to the minister. And we all know for a fact that the pension plan at this point in time has a surplus of in excess of $3 billion in assets. I'm talking about the overall assets of the telco and TSTT pension plan.
Right.
Cumulatively, it's over $3 billion PT dollars. This is sizable, and the government must have a perspective where this is concerned. So they are not divorced from what is taking place here.
All right, so critical to the forward movement of this matter, you all are advocating for the government to take a position, and, you know, at least get involved in the ongoing furtherance of the matter in the interest of what you all would say would be meeting the requirements as I set out in the passages here and in the clauses that we have been talking about on the program.
Most certainly.
Yeah.
They cannot divorce themselves from it, and we will be doing all that is necessary to ensure that they get themselves involved in respect to this issue. It cannot continue for the next 10 years. It cannot, and it will not.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. We want to advise our viewers to watch this space, as someone says on TV United States. Watch this space. It may be, certainly, we are happy to have kicked off the ball again on this matter, as it affects, you know, people who worked for the state enterprise for all these years. The telco TSTT pension, well, drama, as we would call it. Ian J. Clark and Anthony Zephyrin, thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
We hope we have been able to move the ball a little closer to the goalpost in this respect. We will continue to watch it. Thank you all very much. This has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
WESN.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, The Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Coming soon to WESN.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really
respond to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why.
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren. Coming soon to WESN.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm not to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg,
control the body. They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the chief to lose so? Why you want the chief to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the chief's getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
We are WESN, the premier platform for Caribbean content. WESN, covering West, East, South, and North. WESN, we entertainment, sports, and news. WESN, available on Greendot 7, Amplia 118, Airlink 17, Bmobile 107, Digicel 21, ICNTT 105, and Flow 110. Connect with us at WESNCC or stream online at www.wesncc.com. WESN, your premier platform for Caribbean content.